Welcome back to what is easily the most controversial series I've ever put out, and the most disliked piece of media I've ever produced. Because we're here to drop that subscriber count by being mildly critical and refusing to suckle the testicles of a multi-million-dollar corporation. That's right, you hate it. It caused you to unsubscribe and rant at me in the comments section. It's an honest review of HBO's A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Episode 3. So, jokes aside, let's get ready to jump in and analyze this third episode, and we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the downright grotesque. So honestly, right out of the gate, they come out swinging. This whole intro thing, while not being a from-the-book piece, is super cool. Basically, the gist of it is Egg gets up early, he borrows Thunder and Sir Duncan's sword and equipment, and he goes off to try to prep the horse for a little bit of this, jousting competition. Which is cool, because it gets to highlight that Egg has a bit more experience around events like this, and sort of some of the aspects of knightliness that Dunk isn't actually as familiar with, being on the hedge knight side rather than being raised around noble training, where maybe you're attending more events. And it shows that he's concerned for Dunk and that he wants to help him succeed. This is really good. This is probably the best, I would say the best scene where they've been inventing their own stuff that we've had so far. And we also get this super dope shot, and I know I haven't really been talking much about the cinematography or anything like that. We've kind of been more talking about the writing and structure, but we could talk more about this later in a wrap up or something. But this scene, super dope, great camera work here. Now, I think a lot of what makes this whole intro work is the dialogue, while existent, is pretty minimalist, and the actor is doing the heavy lifting here. Really where the writing and structure of this show shines is when we're not having to sit through the largely god-awful bullshit that the writers put in front of us, and when the actors themselves and the scenery get to do all the heavy lifting for us. And this just exemplifies all of that. And we get to see Egg act like a kid, which was one of my favorite parts of this, because it's really good character familiarization. It shows us a lot about the character, not with him going on some long, stupid fucking rant about cocks or whatever, but actually in his acting, actually in what he's doing, in his playfulness, his youthfulness, his getting to have some fun kicking it in a field with a horse. The actor really gets a chance to shine, the music is great, and the whole scene just works out really well. Again, this is one of the coolest not-from-the-book things that adds a whole bunch to the story and adds a whole bunch to our character. So then Sir Robin Risling shows up, which, I don't really get why they did this here. It seems like a waste of a good opportunity to have him in the joust. In the book, we're watching him joust, he gets his helmet knocked off, he keeps jousting, and then, I forget if the characters talk about it or if Dunk's just thinking about it, but he thinks about Robin Risling's reputation as a knight and how he lost his eye in a joust and how he's fucking crazy for just continuing to joust without a helmet. Now, with Lionel Baratheon, I do get why they'd want this guy to show up and have a little more time on screen, because he is going to be one of the guys that stands by Dunk during the trial, but again, I feel we really missed a good opportunity to see him doing the jousting here at the joust, and they actually do show a flashback of him getting his eye knocked out in a joust. So, I just didn't really understand why that couldn't have happened while the characters were watching him joust in this joust. And so while you could probably criticize the scene for being rough in a lot of other regards, to me it just felt like a kind of a wasted opportunity and something that was a little bit weirdly placed. Now we get back to camp with Egg, and Dunk seems a little bit upset. He asks Egg where he's been, and there's kind of some tension for a minute here, but eventually the tension breaks, and it actually ends up being a pretty heartwarming, cool scene where he's teaching him how to sew patches. And this again tells us a lot of good stuff about our characters. I really like this scene because it kind of shows us that while Egg has certain skills that Dunk doesn't have, Dunk has certain skills that Egg doesn't have, and the characters are able to build each other up and grow together, sharing the skill sets they've acquired. And the dialogue here is good, rare W for the writers on this one. Now, the next up is the little limerick thing, and, like, I think this is supposed to kind of, like, make you think of stuff that kids talked about or sung about when, like, you were in elementary school or something like that. And, like, I don't know, it was a little weird, kind of seemed just like a filler moment that didn't quite work for me personally, and I think it's going to be a harbinger of some pretty weird stuff to come. Now, fortunately, that only lasts for a brief second, and then we get to Dunk trying to haggle for some goose eggs, and it seems like the guy he's buying them from doesn't really speak good, whatever normal Westerosi basic is. And so he's having trouble with getting them to have the goose eggs. And then there's this moment of embarrassment with Tonsil Too Tall. And then they end up going back to camp to cook the eggs. But beforehand, Eggs kind of poking fun at him. And that's a really good moment. I like that. I thought that it was very fun chemistry between the characters.
Shut up.
And then back at camp, we get another great, like, no dialogue, just all scenery and character interaction and background music scene. And it's super cool if you like George R. R. Martin's work, like in The Song of Ice and Fire, because, like, food and food presentations, like this big thing that you encounter in the books that's, like, people always drool over it and stuff, like, for good reason. And so this breakfast preparation scene, for me at least, was a real winner. And again, we're not suffering through any ham-fisted dialogue, we're just watching Dunk and Egg hang out and make a nice breakfast together. And they eat their big old egg and ham sandwiches under the tree, and it's all a good time. Great scene, no objections here from me. This is a real winner. And it really shows off the strong suit of the people who are putting on this production here. Now, next up, we're back at the Joust. Always a good time. Love to see the costuming, love to see the armor. The people who were in charge of getting the knights to look good, I mean, you guys rock. I love you guys. We've got fun horses, we've got colorful tabards, we've got cool costumes, and that's good. That's one of the big strong points of any Song of Ice and Fire piece, and you gotta love it. Dunk and Egg have a great time. They're cheering, they're laughing, they're joking, they're spitting ale on people and stuff. It's all pretty cool. I like all this stuff.
I think I could be quite happy in a place like this.
And I mean, again, against all odds that I might have brought up or thought about earlier, the good times just keep on rolling. This hillside scene, fucking awesome. We got great acting, we got good writing, which, like, holy fucking shit, HBO, good writing? I can't believe it, but they did it. They're pulling it off, man. And then we got good scenery, like, still maybe gives a little more color, but it's okay. Like, everything else is so strong in this scene that I don't have a lot of objections, and it really... This is what unwasted, well-paced screen time looks like.
I'd keep horses, plant oats and peas, raise cows.
As this whole production rolls on through the beginning of part 3, you're getting high scores from me. This really looks like what a Dunk and Egg should look like. But, of course, it's fucking HBO, so the good times can't last forever. And, of course, Lord Bucket Hawker shows up to introduce us to the bad. Now, as far as scenes go, like, this scene, if this was like a standalone short film that had nothing to do with anything, it probably wouldn't, like, get a bad grade or anything like that. But the biggest objection that I have to this scene is that it means nothing and goes absolutely fucking nowhere. Does not help us with the story, does not really help us out with the characters, does not mean anything at all the fucking plot. It is just useless, dead fucking screen time. And my guess is they were just, like, contractually obligated to give this guy more lines than he got or something like that. Because this shit just does not fucking matter. And there is absolutely no point to it. And, like, that kind of sucks, right? Because, like, we could have all been watching a joust right now. We could have been watching knights get knocked the fuck off a horse and beat each other up. We could have been watching those foot combat scenes that they had in the books that were so cool. But we're not. We're just watching some dudes talk about some fucking shit that won't come to anything by the side of a fucking river for no fucking reason. Like, holy shit, HBO writers, take a fucking writing course. Take a fucking writing workshop. My God, go back to fucking community college. I know you have the money, they're paying it to you. Just learn how to fucking write. Or like, if you're gonna refuse to learn how to write properly, like, hire a fucking editor. Now, after that travesty of a scene meanders off to nowhere for a long fucking time, we do finally end up back at the joust, and then we get the emergence of our really important character, you know, the primary antagonist of our story here. And he's gonna challenge one of the major champions who's been doing super well, that's Sir Harding. And this scene is like, it's all pretty good. This is like mostly how it goes down in the books. I do wish they'd had him like tapping on the shield, because like the champions have their shields out, and you gotta like tap on the one that you want to choose. But he does say the exact same line in the books. It's all delivered pretty well. For the most part, it's pretty fun. Now, as you already know, the joust goes really bad. Arian intentionally murders Harding's horse and causes him to fall and break a leg. And so after that happens, we get like a soccer riot, which like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, in universe, that's weird, doesn't make any sense, and there's not really much reason why that should happen. And then we get like people like throwing shit and rocks, which again, like that's pretty extreme for like this world. Like, to have anybody throw anything at royalty could easily result in you losing a limb or being killed. A plot point that's going to come up literally later in the episode for Dunk. So like, the whole riot thing, this does not work for me. It's stupid and unnecessary, and it just kind of seems contradictory when we see what happens later on, like literally in the same episode. It's just not a scene they should have stuck in there. Now, very understandably, after all that, Egg is having a really bad time, and that's what makes the following scene even fucking weirder. So this is where we go from the good to the bad to the downright grotesque. And Sir Duncan takes his like clearly upset and traumatized like 8 to 10-year-old Squire to a party where everyone's singing about ass play. Now, a quick note here, because I don't want you to think that I'm like getting all soft on you or becoming like a prude or like, I don't know, some kind of religious person that thinks that putting stuff in butts is like the hallmark of Satanism or whatever. Like, I'm not that way. I'll have you know that Random Internet Guy is very pro putting things in butts. And when it's something like done or discussed between like consensual adults, like I am all for it. So please do not mistake me here and think I'm going all prude on you or think I'm like anti-ass play, because that is the furthest thing from my position. What definitely does weird me out though is watching some adult talk to a little kid about it. That's fucking weird. And like, if you don't think that's fucking weird, then like, I don't know, man, maybe you should take a think on that one. 'Cause it is weird, and it is gross, and it definitely makes me not want to see the writer's search history or any of their hard drives. And boy fucking howdy does this scene drag on and just make your skin crawl the whole fucking time. And like, we could have been doing anything else. They had millions of dollars to do literally anything else. Now, it does take way too fucking long, but eventually that scene does mercifully come to an end. And they leave, and they're walking back out, and Egg's gonna go off to see the puppet show, and Dunk is gonna go drink with one of the Fossaways. Oh wait, hang on, but before that happens, there's this weird fucking prophecy scene, which I wouldn't have actually minded all that much, except I thought she went like a little too far with it. It would have been interesting and kind of provoking and fun if she had just said, "You'll be king," and then Dunk had laughed it off. But the whole, like, burning alive fire thing, like, I don't know how you laugh it off. Like, I would have confronted that old lady and been like, "Stop ruining my Squire's day. He already saw a horse get killed, and now you're traumatizing him worse." But it just kind of lost coherency, and it's so much that, like, there's no way anybody would believably laugh this off, but he does, anyhow? And it's just, like, this whole scene just could have been fucking cut. So, Anywho, Duncan's having a drink with the bro, and they're hanging out, chilling, enjoying a fine cider, chatting a little bit about the day's horrors, and then he goes off on this weird fucking rant that again makes like zero sense in universe for a variety of reasons. Now I get that people like this rant or fucking something, but it does not make any goddamn sense. This man does not know Duncan that well. And he lives in a feudal structure where, like, if you get caught saying, like, rebellious ass shit, like, on the tail end of when there was just a big fucking civil war, like, you could probably be killed, or at the very least, like, beaten severely, or have your family stripped of lands and titles. Like, there is no fucking reason why in-universe this character would share that level of antagony towards the Targaryens, even if he had some reason to hold that level of antagony. You would not give that up to some hedge knight you just fucking met. And then on top of that, like, there's not really a lot of reason for him to hold this level of antagonism towards the Targaryens. There's not really a lot of reason for him to have these feelings in the first place. Like, this whole scene would have been a lot better if he was maybe critical of the prince, or like, you know, critical of that branch of the family or whatever. Like, it might even have made sense if he was like, yeah, Maekar can't raise his fucking kids well. Why can't they be more like Baelor Breakspear and his fucking kids? Like, there's just a lot of things that would have made a lot more sense if they'd done this, and it just feels to me like it was an excuse to talk about jizzing on tits at the end of an incoherent rant that doesn't make any fucking sense. But, you know, that's HBO for you. And Sir Duncan is understandably caught off guard because, like, no one would fucking say this to a random hedge knight while royalty are anywhere near them after, like, a recent civil war. Like, it, again, doesn't make any fucking sense. Even Dunk is like, dude, what the fuck? But before Sir Duncan can, like, gather his wits and, you know, turn this fucker in and collect a lordship from it or whatever, Egg shows up because plot is happening. Aerion Brightflame is attacking the puppeteers and mangling Tonsil Too Tall because he views the play as like an affront to House Targaryen. Fuck, I wonder what he would have done if he heard this other asshole's speech. And so Dunk, who has been brought by Egg, does what any good knight should do, and he protects the weak, and he stops Aerion from being such a piece of shit. But before he can finish Aerion off, the guards grab him up and they hold him down, and Aerion gets ready to knock all his teeth out. And this would have likely been the end for Sir Duncan the Tall, but Egg shows up, and we get the big reveal that Egg is actually Aegon Targaryen, a prince of the realm. Everyone looks confused, and then we get the wrap-up of the scene with the finest in copyright-free backing tracks or some such nonsense. This is like, I don't know, the fucking sound guy took the day off or some shit, and they just had to fucking phone it in. So, like, forgive me if that's some sort of super famous, like, piece of classical music that I just am not remembering the fucking name of or whatever right now. But it's bad. It's a really weird way to end the scene, in my opinion at least. I'm sure others will say it's absolutely phenomenal and HBO can do no wrong. However, I'd like to introduce you to an alternative cut of the ending that reflects a little bit more of the mood of the episode. Or at least the mood of the ending third of the episode.
Daddy was right about the treasure in the book. The kids didn't look close enough in the taffy book. You have a taffy book. There's treasure in the book. I want that taffy book. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Taffy book. It's such a taffy book. There's gold there in that book. Give me some taffy book. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that little alternative ending for you there. That's all I got for you right now on the episode, and so we're going to be back with episode 4, which is probably going to get the best overall review from me of all of them. we're definitely deep in the phrase that I coined when House of the Dragon came out, which is the mushroom. There's a writer's room where writing happens some of the time, and then there's the mushroom, where HBO has used advanced cloning technology to 3D print Mushroom from the book Fire and Blood, and he's hanging out with Dave and Dan, and they're all smoking crack, writing all the terrible scenes that appear in these shows. But in episode 4, the mushroom gets, like, the least of the time, so look forward to that one. We'll have a fun review, and then we'll all be interested to watch episode 5. So thank you all for watching, and apparently I'm fucking doing these things now, so I'll see you next time. You know, unless I guess you think I'm being too mean to poor Whittle HBO and you're just gonna unsubscribe, in which case, you know, have fun with that. After all, the words of House Random Guy are, fuck 'em, let 'em unsubscribe. Seriously though, anybody who's stuck through these reviews and listened to an honest set of opinions about a show that's very troubled, but has some high points, thanks for sticking around. You're the real ones, and I will see you next time.